Okay.
Alfred, can you just put your mic on mute for a bit, if you don't mind?
No, that's
All right, to all our attendees, at the moment, we are just waiting for our guest lecturer to arrive. I have not even informed our own lecturers as to what is happening today. So to give you a bit of a breakdown as to what's going to be happening, is we have got a lady by the name of Samantha Perfect from Think Ahead coming to join us. And in today's session, she is going to be explaining to us all about Think Ahead and ways that we can look at partaking and making use of technology in the classroom. Well, at least I'm pretty sure that's what we will be looking at doing. So let's just sit and wait patiently for Samantha to join us, and then I'll let Samantha introduce herself and explain to us what her and Think Ahead does on a daily basis. To our attendees, please can you let your fellow students know that if they are battling to connect to Zoom, that we are live on YouTube and the link is on the CPT100 page. Hello, Samantha, and welcome. Sam, your microphone is on mute.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having
Sam.
me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Sam, I just want to say again, thank you very much for joining us. And also, I would like to introduce you to my fellow colleagues. I know you could see Esme's profile picture there, as well as Alfred. They are our lecturers in Gauteng. Esme lectures at the Montana campus, and Alfred lectures at our Waterfall campus.
Oh, great to meet you guys. Trust
Okay.
you survived the whole process.
Thank you so much and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sam, just to let you know how this works is that we are running live on Zoom at the moment, and we are streaming live to YouTube. So we do have participants on YouTube as well as Zoom. And then we do tend to get a lot of people who go back and watch the YouTube sessions at a later stage.
Okay, fantastic.
All right. Okay, Sam, I'm going to mute myself now. And do you want to take over and tell us who Sam is and who Think Ahead is? And yeah, just let us know just let us know what you guys do.
Fantastic. You ready for me? I think let me try and screen share here quickly. Bear with me a sec.
No problems.
I was multitasking as we do in this time and age. So I've got multiple tabs open. But yeah, welcome to everyone online. And thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself and my company to you. Just let me know if you can see my screen there. Mr. Van Hagen, let's have a look.
We haven't seen, have you clicked share screen yet?
I have, it should be coming up.
Okay, nothing's coming up at the moment.
Bear with me a sec, guys.
Not a problem, Sam.
And I've just done updates, so let's have a look here. Right, that should be fine. I'll just get my privacy and security off. Let's try once more. Okay.
There we go. All right,
You
we
got
can
me
see.
there.
Yes, we can.
Yay.
Right.
Okay. All right, guys. I don't know how the educators step up and do this all day. Hats off to all of you. So yeah, here we are. Our world is changing. My name is Sam and I represent a company called Think Ahead Education Solutions. And for those of you who don't know us, Think Ahead is working with near 500 education institutions from early child development right up to higher ed. And we work both in the private and the public sector, tailor-making solutions for mainstream, remedial, and special needs specific to future skills and future schools. So we specialize in understanding the global trends of what's happening out there, and then we translate that back to local context, and we are also Apple authorized resellers. So that is our device of choice, specific to education institutions. That is our target market where we integrate these future skills, run through initiatives and events to support this through. Yeah, so before we move forward, I think it would be great if we've got some comments flowing through so that I'm not the only one on the show here, but I'd love to know where you were at with pre-pandemic. So from Think Ahead's point of view, we were obviously out there trying to get schools to integrate both the future skills and technology within the classroom. And the preparation for this with the pedagogy of SAMR. How many of you are familiar with the SAMR model? Have we got comments streaming in there yet?
None at the moment, but I can guarantee I don't think many would know that model because I don't even know that model.
Okay, well, I'd like to encourage you, as I do with most of our schools. You know it. Thank you, Alfred.
Yeah,
so
that's
I
correct.
would
Actually,
like to...
courtesy of in the actual designing of content online, specifically online.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it really is integrating, how are we integrating this within our classrooms and thinking processes as well. So I'd encourage those of you who don't know it to Google it. A lot of my educators will tell you I'm well known for my saying, all things are possible with God, Google, and YouTube. So there's no excuse anymore. We've got all the resources around us. Okay, so yeah, moving forward, our stakeholders, where were we with pre-pandemic? So our stakeholders, we were going through and encouraging that they became these critical and creative thinkers, that they were global collaborators, that they were able to communicate from a global context, and basically just being good digital citizenship. And with that, obviously practicing good digital safety. So these are things that we would go in and discuss with our schools, and the stakeholders being parents, students, and teachers. So kind of prepping towards that, what that was. What we found through the pre-pandemic and the adoption rate of it is, I think to start with, when I started in 2014, a lot of crossed arms and dear eyes, where teachers just didn't feel that this was a move for them and that they were comfortable in their teaching. And this is not to be ageist, but, you know, majority of them had been teaching successfully and were subject experts for 30 years. So why should they integrate this? But, you know, our encouragement in global trends and what we had seen was happening in workplaces around and with understanding fourth industrial revolution was here, were our students being adequately prepared for this? And the answer truthfully was no. So it was a slow puzzle piecing, hand holding, and after it's seen sense of accomplishment when we basically showed and proved that it's possible to change mindsets. So teachers began to then move from being the sage on the stage to being the guide on the side, which is the ultimate solution. And students were able to learn to think for themselves. And that's where we brought about quite a bit of the computational thinking. Students were then encouraged to see that device that they had was not just a social media and gaming tool, but it was actually a tool for learning. And as Apple resellers, if you research Apple in education, you'll see that Apple has been in education for 40 years and that the iPad was actually made with education in mind. So besides the upsides of Apple creating both the hardware and the software, so the longevity of the device, and then of course the privacy and the security, students began to see this device as a digital relation to their digital DNA. So we call the iGen. They were now going to 5D movies, and they had the wind blowing and they had the smells and all the senses. And then they'd come into the classroom and they had the teacher do chalk and talk, which needless to say, you'd see a lot of red lines, dude. So, so we needed to appeal to this generation. We needed to have them encouraged within the lesson. And so we went into our jargon talking, and I'm sure most of you would be familiar of the words like flipping the classroom and maker spaces, gamification, inquiry, creative, project-based learning, just different ways in which we were integrating this into different subjects and grades. And then the, moving towards augmented reality, virtual reality, coding and robotics, artificial intelligence, all of these things that we've already seen happening in our workplace, in our day-to-day living, but may have not been aware of it. And then, so just to focus on my 2018 as I reminisce, I'm sure you guys have pictures and things you long to do. For me, one, I just can't wait for us to get back to the beach. But here's just a couple of pictures that I posted from things we were doing within education. And I think some of the students from Embry will remember, I think it was last year or the year before, I had come through and introduced the social science teachers to the Merge Cube, another one to Google. So a fantastic augmented reality tool where you can go and use that in cross subjects and cross grades as well. We did quite a bit of, we always do initiatives, but one of the initiatives we ran was the Human Library, which was a great initiative to take out a person with real experiences, whether they were transgender, whether they'd come from a home or an upbringing of abuse. You could sit down and actually read this person, ask them questions within a framework. We also obviously resellers for the Sphera robots, which we use to encourage and understand coding, the basic codes, but it's also a great tool to use in cross subjects and cross grades. And then, if you're familiar with iMovie, obviously they've got the green screen functionality, which is great for immersive learning. To have your lessons when you're planning them, to put yourself on an animal plane where you can discuss animals in detail and just have students joining you there, whether remotely or in the classroom. Our coding classes, that was one of my best pictures. If you see our little boys there, they were having the best time in terms of troubleshooting and problem solving. And again, just emphasizing the importance of computational thinking, because it's for those of for golfers out there, you know that you can drive that ball to the hole, and first try it may not go in, second try you get it in, other days you dig in bunkers. And that's pretty much what life is like in the world that these kids are going into. They need to just be able to have grit and resilience, and coding and computational thinking lends itself towards that, even if they're not going to be app developers or programmers. Mr. Van Hagen, you need to keep an eye on time because I can talk to you guys forever. So you just got to give me some numbers or time out.
I will keep you on track. Don't worry, Sam.
Okay, good. So, there was a lot pulling into this when I was thinking about what I was going to share with you as future teachers in terms of our computational and in the importance of coding, because obviously this is going to be integrated into our curriculum. But I'm not going to focus because that is a topic on its own. But I would encourage you to please follow us on social media. And obviously, as we have these events on how you would teach code within the classroom and how you would integrate it in subjects, we can go into that into depth. STEAM, obviously we picked up the focus that these are subjects that will definitely be used within the future. We follow quite a few futurists, as they call, and looking towards future jobs that don't exist yet for these students, gearing these sort of subjects kind of paves the way again for any integration into something new. So it's really bringing a love for learning around these subjects, and a better way to do it with the generation we're dealing with is with technology. It's something that comes naturally to them, and for us, something that we shouldn't fear. I think when I got into the industry, my previous company will tell you, it was 2014. I was convinced that they had employed me as a precedent to set out to educators that if I could do it, because I was nicknamed Dory or Phoebe, anyone could do this. So as I said, that's pretty much what our preset was for pre-pandemic, was just getting adoption rates towards adopting future skills and technology in the classroom. Then it was moving towards this new world and environmental design of having that tech within education. So we understand that everyone learns differently. So it was redefining the learning spaces where students would now have their moments, not always in front of a screen, but you know, that the learning space is not just that sit down classroom, put up your hand when you're spoken to and just have a download of information. So that was pretty much where we went through. We also had our drones, which we also used to teach coding and also various subjects. These are amazing tools to use. We actually had an initiative about 3 years back as well, where we had students create their own drones. We provided a kit, or some of them opted to use 3D printers and design their own. And we always use free, real life skills to kind of integrate the thinking of what they're doing, the thinking process around it. So one of the schools, Crawford in, I think it was Umhlanga, there's a couple of Crawfords out there here in KZN, their students had designed a drone to scare the monkeys away because they have a huge monkey problem, and these monkeys would come in and steal their lunch packs. So they actually won the initiative. And then, as I've already touched on already, the importance of bringing through augmented reality, just so it is an engaging process for students where they're really getting into those subjects and beginning to have a love for learning again, that they can do independently or corporately with their peers and teachers. Here's a lovely video. I'm going to share it with you. Let me know if the sound's okay.
Hi, Sam. Unfortunately, the sound isn't playing, but I'm sure I can get this video from you and just put it on our page.
That would be great. Yeah. So this is a Froggypedia. It's a fantastic app that you can download, and I mean, you can just have that experience where you are totally engaged. And I think for our animal lovers, at least you're not harming that frog. So there's loads of these on your app store. It doesn't have to be iOS. You can go and have a look at multiple app stores at various augmented reality apps. And then also the MergeCube. MergeCube, which I mentioned earlier, is a cross-platform app that you can use. And then, of course, we also touched a little bit on our artificial intelligence in education and what does that mean. So I think there was a lot of scare around the human element being replaced by robots in the future of teaching. That will never happen. It's just not going to happen. But where this artificial intelligence comes in and the study of all the sciences behind the data that's being collected from students, it could help in terms of positioning their differentiated learning. It could go in towards helping them plan towards career choices. So, you know, it has its place in there, as scary as it sounds, but this is impacted quite a bit in various industries. So I think some of you would have already experienced if you've Googled, and you'll know there's no such thing as free lunch, as Emma Sadler likes to share from Digital Law. If you had to Google something specific, so in my example, I had moved house and I had Googled LTE router providers for my area, and that evening on Facebook I was spammed by all of these service providers. So that is the artificial intelligence that's picked up the need of what I wanted and translated that into a market or a sell. Another example of this, and again, no such thing as a free lunch, is my brother is living in Germany, and he had gone into a mall there and obviously seen that there was free Wi-Fi and saw the opportunity just to capture a couple of his details in for that. And the month after that, when he had returned to the mall, they had picked up his footprints and basically said, welcome, Andrew, back to the mall. The jeans that you bought at this shop are now on sale at that shop. So that's pretty much where artificial intelligence seems to be leading the way. And I love this. So I want to share this with you. And again, I don't think you'll get the sound, but basically what this is a virtual assistant. So she is, let me just put the volume down on my side. She is actually going through and booking a hairdresser appointment. So with lockdown and from my experience in transitioning different hair, I would love to have my pre-appointment booked with my Google Assistant. So this is where that artificial intelligence is going as well. So yeah, pre-pandemic, we were going through and just encouraging that our stakeholders, educators as well as students, became collaborators, that they were creative, that they were critically thinking a solution, that they weren't just throwing in the towel, that they would find grit into whatever solution they would face and just take bite sizes towards finding a solution. Being good citizens in terms of a digital footprint and understanding what that meant. So we would often explain to our students, please remember that your future partner or boss is going to Google you first right in getting to know you. Understanding the importance of character and emotional intelligence, soft skills around that, and communication. So no man is an island, and now we have the platform, which we've seen that connectivity that we need is so important. Okay, so here's some stats, and really interesting that we had shown to a couple of schools when we were working with them as well, that it took 46 years for electricity to be adopted by 25% of the US population. And if you look at the 4 years to get the same adoption for smartphones, and obviously that has, with COVID, pushed us into a whole nother statistics that are out at the moment. And here's also just a wheel having a look at what is happening every 60 seconds in terms of tech being used in our daily lives. So yeah, without saying more, and I think we've seen that now with COVID pushing us onto the other side, we are living in a world of selfies and hashtags, and the world around us is changing at a rapid pace. We were still having planning discussions with our schools, and now all of a sudden they've been forced on the other side. They've had to learn to adopt and adapt the new world that is happening around us. Oh, there's an interesting pic. Let's have a look at that. So there's actually a toaster where you can take a picture of yourself and with a USB, and you can have your face printed on your toast. Okay, and then of course, yeah, for parents, I think even before pre-pandemic, before all of this happened, things were just moving so fast, and there were so many fears that we had to overcome in terms of supporting education institutions in their move to adopt technology and future skills. And it was a matter of sitting with parents, which we do as well, in teaching them specifically with Apple as well, their security and privacy settings, how they can go in and monitor screen time, what apps are used, and then also from an educator point of view, and for you educators just to Google it, there's a fantastic classroom management tool called Apple Classroom. So Apple Classroom is not to be confused with a flow management system like Google Classroom or 365. So not your G Suite or Windows. It is actually just a classroom management tool where you can lock your students into a specific app. You can send through a URL link directly to them, and that works within a classroom environment on the same network and with Bluetooth. Mr. Van Hagen, just let me know if any questions are coming up, because with the screen sharing, I'm not seeing any, but I hope you're all still following me.
Nothing at the moment, Sam.
Okay, good. And I hope you're finding this interesting and that you're with me still, because I know with lockdown, we had some relaxation on our liquor. So I hope you're not all hanging there and you are focused, because it is going to get more interesting. So I think the most important is to understand that where the workplace is going and how we're having to prepare our students for this. But this impacts us as well in not becoming indispensable. So, you know, we need to reinvent ourselves and kind of evolve with the way things are changing. And if we have to look at, our largest communication platforms that had no infrastructure, so businesses have already started to make the shift and change that we're familiar with without the thought behind it. Our media owners, I mean, how many have been doing death by Netflix during lockdowns? So, I think everyone has had to reinvent themselves in what the new norm is, and this will continue to change. So, like we shared with education institutions and teachers, change is inevitable, but the adoption around that, or the attitude around that, is a matter of choice. Okay, so this is where we left off, and we were having loads of socials. The middle picture at the top is the Fill My Cup conference that was hosted for educators here in KZN. And this was basically the beginning of March, just before lockdown. There was about 700 of us all together. It was an incredible time together, but already we could sense that there was a shift and something was happening. Our hand sanitizers were around. I was continuously wiping down devices and gadgets that teachers were playing with. But before that, we were also traveling quite a bit, getting our teachers familiar with Apple Teacher. I'll get into that later, that you can look into that as well. And yeah, we were sharing iPad labs, and the social interaction is there. So these are things that we are all sorely missing and having to rethink how we're going to do this as we go into our current and post-pandemic. Okay, so let's discuss our current pandemic and where we're at now with our lockdown, our remote learning, social distancing, and of course the health and hygiene focus that we've been working with. So since lockdown, we have been incredibly busy just being support and listening to our education partners in where they've been. And obviously, if you look at the science behind the grieving process, the loss of what we went through, the trauma, it was an incredibly slow process where there was a huge amount of noise around us and educators just didn't know where to turn. And so we started to pinpoint what were focus points and try to see where we could troubleshoot, where we could collaborate, where we could critically think and find solutions around this. And this is ongoing, and it will be ongoing, not just for ourselves, but for the next gen and our students that you'll be training soon. So we definitely picked up there was a digital divide, and I think you would know yourselves personally within your own home and your communities that the access to internet and devices was vital. We know that the inequality in terms of the poorer side versus the richer side, there was a lot of saying going around on Facebook specifically, because that became our platform of choice, that we facing the same storm, but we're in different boats. And I think we needed to learn to have compassion around that and to find compromise as quickly as we could. And it was incredible to see how South Africans just stood up to the plate and all poured in what they could do. And yes, there's a lot of negativity that we can focus on, but being an optimist myself and a realist, I think it needs to be noted that South Africa has really risen to the plate once again, and I'm incredibly proud to be a South African in a time like this, because I've seen that negative things have come to light, and it's good because that's the only way that we can deal with things. Again, computational thinking. So only when these problems arise do we see to find a solution for them. Differentiated learning, and then of course the inclusions and accessibility side was a major problem. So we have Chelsea Williamson, who works for our company. She is our inclusions and accessibility facilitator. So if any of you are aiming towards that in your teaching, reach out to her. Her resources and experience that she has had, and even her own personal walk, is a fantastic testimony and encouragement to you as you go into your teaching roles. So we hosted with our iStore partners, we hosted free sessions during this time where people from different backgrounds could, if they had access to device and data, could join in and just go through learning new skills and upskilling themselves. Obviously, being Apple resellers, it was also getting folk who had already invested in Apple products to have the return of investment on those products. Then, of course, there was the focus on the health being the new wealth. And I think, this is something that we need to consider as people start living longer, that we take better care of ourselves, that we learn to have balance in life. And there's no better way as a teacher going into education to role model this yourself. So in this time, I think it's finding amongst all the noise, a bit of a balance, and just take care of you first. If you get onto a plane, they often say to you, you need to have that oxygen mask on your face in case of an emergency before you reach out to help passengers, even children around you. So yeah, that was something we're still working towards. And then most importantly, and my biggest takeout through this current situation with various stakeholders that we were dealing with, all the webinars we were joining, a lot of the social media noise, was just being human. And as Emma Sadler also says from Digital Law Company, that it's been a good human. And, as we build on we often speak of the 4 C's in terms of future skills. We've now added on to that into our current pandemic, and even post that we can take out of this, that the success of where we go as humans and not being replaced by AI and robots is having compassion and learning to compromise. So when things don't always work out, just finding a compromise. The importance of connection in whatever means it may be, with technology or face-to-face, and then the collaboration in that you're not an island, and that it's important to hear different perspectives and collaborative coming together with different skills and giftings that you can add to the plate. And the conclusion, and this resonates with me on a personal level, because when 2020 started with new hopes and heights, I think I'd heard a rap song on the radio, and it was catchy tune, and I'm not going to sing it to you, but one thing that stuck with me was the lyric of saying, in every situation, are you the problem or the solution? And I just love that. And that's something that I've taken through this year. So I want to pass that on to you as you go into your teaching, saying, whatever you're faced with in the unknown or the new norm, that you ask yourself, are you going to be the problem or the solution to it? And the reason I'm doing that again is I think a lot of emphasis in this has been put towards the emotional intelligence kind of overriding the importance of IQ. I mean, it's there, obviously. And I think with the amount of information we have access to nowadays, that's always going to be there. The love of learning is growing. So people during pandemic were obviously looking towards the opportunist moments of courses being offered for free, and a lot of upskilling was done. We discovered things about ourselves, and I'm sure you could share new hobbies, new interests. And really it boils down to adaptability. So my age group, and I don't know if any of you will relate to this device, but this is a cassette tape. So this was a device that we were faced with, and this came with its own challenges and changes. So, obviously the tape would come out of it, it would get stuck in your cassette player. You had to forward or rewind to get to your song. There was some aspect of ripping a tape up when your partner broke up with you, that was a bit of a thrill. But it was our device, and how we adopted to the CD and then to live streaming our music and MP3. So it naturally comes, change just comes, but it's the adaptability which we need to learn to do. It comes from attitude, and your attitude is going to determine your altitude. So yeah, this was obviously tech that we used in our days. This was our online learning, and he was a phenomenal maths teacher. And I think a lot of people my age group will tell you, if it wasn't for the extra lessons given there, and you having self-discipline to listen to this or to record this, you really didn't have much hope in passing maths. And to be honest, I think I ended up dropping that as well. So yeah, current pandemic, we were having our teachers in frantic face mode, where they were forced to go online and interact with their students and their family members. And it was a fight for which platform And of course, all these things were there, but nothing was perfect, as tech is. Tech is ever growing and ever changing. So really, it was having a good attitude around it. And our teachers excelled at this. And I just want to, do a shout out to all the teachers out there as well, because I really think they handled the situation and really were essential workers at a time like this. And, to stand up and do a presentation, to view your class in the open view of parents, to put your own insecurities aside, to deal with glitches and infrastructure that's not stable, to have continuous noise around you, dealing with your own family needs, your own emotions. You really are heroes in my eyes and those of my colleagues. So well done to all of you. It's also been an incredible time, and I hope this continues where upskilling is there. So there are free resources out there for you to tap into your skill set. So when you follow futurists and what they share about where the future of work is going, it's interesting to see that there's so much emphasis on skills and what you've learned over this time. So I have a teenage son, and as much as his education has continued online, and I'm grateful for that, and his teachers, there has been opportunities for him while being in lockdown to embrace different skills. So, we started a herb garden and then became a vegetable garden. We also had a fire pit, so we'd be encouraged to get away from our devices and just connect out there. So the building, construction around it, but it's the creative thinking around it. These are all skills that he could build towards something one day. And I hope that you would impart not just the curriculum to your students one day, but that you would find skills that you could harness and hand down to students as well. So as we go into our new world and limit our social distancing is still there and will be for some time, I would encourage you as well as teachers to not just look at the way the curriculum has been paved out to you, but find new ways, not cut corners, but around it to really integrate future skills. So start thinking outside of the box. What is the new normal going to look like? How do we prepare for this as educators? How do we prepare for this as humans, as future parents, as future role models, and also in our own workplace, and not settling for what we're given, but again, just, taking what is your natural given talents and sharing with others. Some people are good at being in front of the camera and talking. With my team, I've got my IT guys that do tech deployments and management of devices. They're the brains, but having to relay that to teachers, it's an overwhelm. So that's where I have the gift of the gab. That's my job. So, you work as a team and you all have your strengths, and it's just a matter of harnessing and strengthening that. How are we doing, Mr. Van Hagen? We okay on time?
Hi, Sam. We've got 7 minutes left. I don't know if you want to wrap it up and we open up the floor to some Q&As.
Sure. So let me just flick through here quickly. Here's our new norm. So on the fun side, let's hope he isn't like this. It is a rough sport. I have done it and gone flying. But restaurants could be looking like this in the future. As we said, if you don't evolve, you become dispensable. These are things you can look into, guys. I mean, social media is full of it. So this is obviously a self-cleaning handlebars for those that rent out bikes. Here in Rwanda, we have our robots that are testing or screening for COVID patients, future of aeroplanes. Obviously, our phone has recognized unlocking system for people with masks, sports, and how we're having to adopt and adapt there. This is for people that enjoy their spas. That's virtual reality. We have one of these at a mall here in KZN for not touching the lifts up and down, which is great. So basically things that I've covered and things just to take note of. I will send resources as well following this. Go for it, Mr. Van Hagen.
Thank you, Sam. Sam, before we hit the Q&A session, I think this would be best coming from you rather than me with regards to the email that you sent to me yesterday. Do you want to let everyone know with regards to your upcoming conferences and let them know the good news?
Yeah, so we'll send communication, I think, Ms. Van Hagen, to you on this, but our company would like to extend a 50% discount to our upcoming professional development towards using iPads within, and it doesn't have to be iPad, it can be any device really. So please participate, sign up. We'll send you a voucher for you to join our online sessions on using your device within the classroom. Our facilitators are great fun. We don't believe in chalk and talk, so they're interactive sessions, even though we're online. So yeah, we'll send resources to you.
Oh, thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. And then once you've got those resources to me, I'll communicate it more effectively to the staff. And yes, you had to have the slide where it's got my photo in it.
I didn't want to miss that. So yeah, you can let them know we had great fun with our quiz night. So life doesn't have to be boring. We do find ways in which to have fun as educators.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so we really appreciate the time that you've taken. Sam, I'm just waiting to see if anyone wants to ask any questions about Think Ahead. So to our attendees, if you want to ask any questions, please feel free. I'm staring at the Q&A. I'm also staring at the chats. Please don't be shy.
Yeah, while you're going through there, this was something we picked up, which I thought is apt now that lockdown's been lifted. You've got used to being sober. So as you go forward, yeah, just practice the mindfulness of stop, observe, breathe, expand, and respond. That's what I can share in terms of the future world we're going into.
All right, Sam, currently there are no questions, be it on YouTube, our Q&A, or our chat sessions at the moment.
Okay.
So I think everyone understood what was going on. And then, yeah, once I've received these resources and that how the students can use that 50% voucher code, I will then place it onto our course page so that they can go there and make use of it.
Awesome.
All right. And then also going back to some of your courses that you've done, I did that one course with you last year, learning to code, and a few of our other staff members took part in it where they built robotic boats, I think, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, some good life skills there as well.
No, there definitely is some great skills that were taught there. And to the students, definitely go and Google or YouTube the Merge Cube. It is something that will change your life. It is really great. As Sam said, it's cross-platform. I've looked into it. It's a lot of fun. And it's just something to play with. Just looking at alternate ideas. All right.
All right. And yeah, you know, feel free to reach out to me as well if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer it. But yeah, we are out there to support you through it. So best wishes to all of you. Stay safe.
Thank you, Sam. We really appreciate you taking the time and coming to give us great information. And it's always a pleasure having a chat with you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Sam, I'm going to wrap the session up. So as soon as I click end, obviously everything will end, and then I'll contact you a little bit later today.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks again. And
no
yeah, best wishes to all of you.
All right. Alfred,
Stay
Esme,
well.
Are there anything you guys want to add on before we leave?
From me, just thank you so much, Sam. That was great, talking in terms of digital divide as well as at summer model. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, Alfred.
Very, very interesting. I really enjoyed that.
I'm happy to hear that. My pleasure. Thank you, Ismay.
All right. Thank you very much, Sam. Have a great day, and I'll chat to you a little bit later.
Thank you. Be blessed. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.